Yo, JD here, and as you can see, we are back on F1 22 as always. And in today's video, we're going to be doing something quite interesting, and that is to actually test the 0-0 wings in a 25% race. So instead of doing 5 lappers like we did before, test it in a more of a real environment, such as what league racing will be. And also this lobby as well was pretty competitive. We had people like Radek, Yone, Dovson. They're very, very fast drivers on this game. And yeah, we're going to put ourselves at the back as usual, and we're going to be showing the entire race, as I always like to do. And yeah, let's just see how good potentially the 0-0 wings should be, which I predict to be pretty good around this circuit. And this race here, which was almost a week and a half ago now, yeah, it was a pretty intense one all the way to the end. So sit back and enjoy, and yeah, hopefully you have fun watching this. So as usual, just trying to avoid the carnage and chaos at the start of the race, and let's see us just about avoiding this. It's really good at this game, well, really good, but people seem to ghost a lot easier on this game than they did in the past, which I'm not complaining about too much. And we're just going to discuss on what my feelings are with this 0-0 wing, and I think you're about to see an example of how powerful it is. I'm pretty sure these guys are using our overtake button, and we just absolutely cruise past them, leaving some room on the inside for B-Tech Latifi here, who's in the Mercedes. Be about to see it in a straight line. Even though the guy behind me has a slipstream, we're actually putting away, which is pretty hilarious. And he goes down the inside again, so yeah, one of these players who doesn't like to be overtaken. When I did the video about those types of players, I think he would probably fit in that category quite nicely, and you see that quite often when you play online. But we managed to get up into P10 so far, so not too bad. But I think people like Yone have made even more progress at getting through the chaos. And the medium tyres here, I think I'll probably go with the tyres you always want to start a 50% race on. So either the mediums or the hards, because the softs, they just definitely go off much quicker on this game. And you want to be using all your softs for the qualifying, since you can just start on any tyre now as well. So there's no such thing as really the alternate strategy so much anymore. But in league racing, I think that maybe starting on hard tyre could be better, but there will be more risk, because if there's an early safety car, you only get one set of mediums per race. So yeah, there's definitely quite a lot of risk. But if there are no safety cars, then I think it could be the fastest strategy to do in league racing at 50% races, as the Red Bulls go down the inside up into P9, and let's see what our straight line speed is going to be like on the exit, because I know people like Yone and the other competitive people in here were using a little bit higher or still quite low wings themselves. But you'll see here, just going to let these two do their thing, maybe go for the switchback on the exit, which we do, so using a little bit of that overtake, giving it a bit of a squeeze, but we're going to get this move done up into P8. And in this race, I think my race pace here was really, really good. One of the best races I've done for race pace. But one thing that's a bit annoying is that at this stage of the game, I still didn't have the button set, or couldn't figure out what button it was to do the pit stops, which I can confirm I do now, because this was over a week and a half ago. But you'll see in the pit stops, it does cost me quite a bit of time. It actually cost me around about a second, which is pretty crucial, because on this game you can definitely undercut people still, but since the tyres are not warm when they come out of the pits anymore, it's much harder to get them up to temperature. And I think, again, if you're on mediums in a league race, and someone pits for hards. I think you saw one of my races I did at Silverstone in a social race. I actually got like a 3-second undercut on him. Oh, sorry, 3-second overcut. But then when I came out of the pits, his tyres were obviously warm since he did an outlap. And I actually lost that 3-second gap in the space of 2 sectors. So I think it's going to be very important to actually maximize your outlap when you come out of the pits. If you can get really good at that, and you could maybe even save a second, then although someone might overcut you, you might be able to overtake him again and actually break out of the DRS zone. So yeah, I think that's something that's going to be pretty interesting as the league racing season continues. But yeah, a few more thoughts on my 00 Wings, because I did see a lot of comments on my previous video, and yeah, I agree. I think if you are skilled enough to use it and you can keep up the momentum in the corners, then absolutely fair game. But I think especially tracks like this and Spa, and maybe even tracks like Mexico, it could be very beneficial as these two guys have a bit of an incident here. But yeah, if you can get away with it, because at the end of the day, you're getting punished in the corners. So if you can keep it up in the corners, then yeah, fair play to you. But one of the main benefits is that you can just save so much of the ERS, and you can see we've actually used quite a bit of ERS this race so far, and you can see we're using it here. But since the engine, or since the car has so much less drag, it just means that the engine doesn't have to work as hard at all, so it's just much more efficient at saving the batteries. We're probably going to go for a switchback again, which we do, and now we're up into P4, 3.4 seconds behind Yone. So let's see what our race pace is like against him, because he was, I would say, one of the fastest drivers on PC last game. But yeah, you can just save so much of the battery. But the one thing I have a little issue with when it comes to the 00 Wings is that although you get punished a little bit in the corners, the braking distance doesn't seem to change at all, which is not really realistic in my book, because you're seeing through the turn one and going through corners even such as this, yeah, we lose the downforce during the corner and a little bit on the traction, but not too much. But the braking distance is exactly the same than if I was using maybe 30 wings or something like that, where it should be quite drastically different. You can see here, I'm actually braking at the same point that I have been when I used a slightly higher wings, or quite a bit higher wings previously around this circuit. So I'd say maybe that is the one thing that maybe could be changed with the lower wings or something like that. A lot more benefits for if you're running a high downforce is you would have better tyre wear, which we've discussed in the past. But on this game, I think that's almost redundant, because as I said earlier, you're not really going to be starting many races on softs anymore. I think the only race you might possibly could start softs on is maybe Monaco, if you were in P2 and you wanted to jump into P1, or if you were on pole and you wanted to just ensure you got a good start, that extra grip, because the tyres are so durable anyway. You could just do a softer medium, or maybe even a softer hard, and I think most people, if they can use 4 tyres in a set of qualifying, then yeah, they're just going to go on mediums anyway. So yeah, since you're going to be starting the mediums and the hards 95% of the time, then yeah, it's quite easy to do a one-stop on this game, and it really does encourage you to do a one-stop, because you only get one set of the mediums and hards, so you can't do maybe a 2-stop with the medium soft or something like that. So yeah, maybe a few tweaks to there, so let me know what your thoughts are once again on that. But yeah, it seems to be fairly competitive. I think, speaking to Yone, he was using just a little bit higher wings, so I think maybe at 2-1 or 2-0 or something like that. And the guys ahead of him are quite competitive as well, so there were around 4 or 5 of us who were on a pretty good pace in this hobby, so I thought, why not try it out here? And you can see we have actually closed in that gap quite a lot, so the raw pace is definitely very nice in this game. And because it's so much easier for me to save the ERS, and it's so hard to recover in this game, and we all know how powerful the battery is, it means that I can just use a little bit of ERS per lap, and I'm probably be gaining 2 or 3 temps. So as soon as someone starts to run low on the ERS ahead of me, I just have so much more than them, and I can just use a little bit and still save more than that driver ahead of me. So I have a feeling on some tracks that the lower downforce definitely will be the way to go, because ERS is a big issue, as we're thinking about going down the inside of the there. So he made a bit of a mistake in that last sector, so he managed to cruise up to the back of this top 3 quite nicely. And you'll see on this lap where we're not going to be using much of the battery. We're on 29% here. Let's see what we're on as we're going into the last corner, as we're overtaking B-Tech Latifi, who has unfortunately maybe rage quit the session. Maybe. But then as we come through into here, we're going to get the DRS on quite nicely. And you can see we've actually already gained 10%. Make that about 12% in the space of a few corners. Whereas if you're using a higher downforce, there's no way you would really be able to save that much at all, as we come across a few more back markers who are ghosting, which makes it very difficult to see, almost running out wide once again. So we already have one warning in this race. Using a little bit of the boost here, and you can see we're 100% running the 0 wings. So coming through into here, you can see we gained quite a bit of ERS back when we already used a bit on here. So we're going to go into the pits now. And as I said earlier, I didn't have a button configured, and I hadn't worked it out at this point. So instead of a 2.2 second pit stop, I think it's going to be a 3.1 or 3 second pit stop. So let's come out here, it's 3.1. So we probably lost pretty much close to 1 second that we could have done, and that is really significant on this game. But yeah, I'm not really too much of a fan of these immersive pit stops anyway, because you have to press the button, you don't have to turn in whatsoever, which kind of, I think, defeats the purpose of it, really. So I don't know what everyone else thinks, but yeah, I would much prefer it if we could actually turn in some way, and rather than just pressing a button, which is going to be quite easy to time once you actually get a button assigned to you. But here now on this outlap, it's essential that I try and gain as much back as I can, because I know I've pretty much lost a second to the guys who have stayed out. My tyres are going to be a little bit cold at this stage, and this Mr. Fister seems to be quite a fast driver himself, so we are making a few inroads in him. But I'm just going to try and get as close as I can, try and get within the DRS zone of the guys who are pitting the next lap. So I know for the first sector I probably lost out, but I'm hoping through sector 2 and 3 I could actually gain a bit of the time back, because I've lost quite a bit of time in the pits. So as we come off the exit of the last corner, going down the straight, running quite low on the battery now, because we've had to push quite hard. As you can see, setting a purple last sector. So a couple of people are coming out of the pits. The Alfa Romeo, so it looks like Yona has actually overtaken him this lap. So he goes in deep, and we're just going to go around the outside of him, because I thought we'd just be losing too much time, which then gives us a fairly poor exit. And now we are desperate to try and get within the DRS zone, because Yona up ahead is a incredibly fast driver. So I need to try and get within the DRS zone of him, and hoping that his tyres will take a little while to heat up. So at this point in the race, I was pushing pretty desperately. And yeah, with these 0-0 wings, I still feel like I have quite a lot of downforce itself, and now through the corners it really isn't too bad. If I lose a tenth or 2 tenths through the corners, then you're just going to gain so much back on the straights, as we take an intentional corner cut there just to try and get within his DRS zone. But it's like we're just going to miss out by over a tenth. So now I was thinking in my mind that, okay, let's just try and have a good raw pace and see if these two guys start to battle up ahead. So I'm going to move up into P3 in this race now. So the gap is 2.7 seconds and 1.1 to Yone. So let's see what we can do. So we're not going to use any of the battery now. We're going to save it, hoping that these two will start to battle, and then maybe we can use it on the last lap. So we're currently sitting on 12%. Let's keep an eye on what that is. And this is one of the main benefits. Once again, it's not obviously the straight line speed is great, but it's also the ability to just have and recoup that ERS so much faster than someone else who has a higher downforce. And you can see we've actually managed to close in about half a second on the leader here. And around Monza, especially in this game, you really want to be the car ahead. So I was expecting these guys to try and save the ERS for the last lap as much as possible. So I'm just relying on my raw pace right now to try and close in on the leaders, and hopefully they will start to slow each other down. So you can see already we've actually managed to save quite a bit of the ERS. Giona does a 20.6. We're sitting on 23% right now. Looks like they're slowly starting to battle. So 2.5 to the leader. Let's see what it's going to be as we go through the rest of this lap itself. So we're still not going to be using any battery. Try and conserve as much as we can, because I knew that these guys wouldn't be using their battery until the last lap, last straight. So not really going to be wanting to waste it on this lap itself. So I'm just trying to carry as much momentum as I can going through these corners. You can see the gap is down to 2.4 seconds now. Coming through into here. Let's see what it's going to be on the exit of this. So Yone is quite close to him, and the leader, the gap is still about 2.4 seconds, but Yone is very close. Looks like they're actually going side by side going into here, which hopefully should slow them up quite nicely for me. And you can see on the exit here we have gained a little bit of time. I was hoping to slow them a bit more down than that. Let's see if there's any gains with the DRS coming into here. It looks like they did try and slow down just a little bit. And you can see we're back up to over 40% of the ERS now. So we're going to use a little bit here just to get that momentum going down the straights. And you can see they're going side by side. But I know that the DRS, the slipstream, is not powerful. So the guy in lead probably could defend this quite a lot. They're going side by side, going through into here. And looks like we're almost back within the DRS zone. So if we manage to have more ERS, I'm just going to try and get within that DRS zone. So I keep on fighting once again, being very, very defensive here. So this is really playing into my hands. So by keeping patient, keeping up raw pace, we are still in this race. Yone hasn't actually overtaken them yet. And coming through into here, we are sitting pretty close. Well, we are going to be on 40%. So we're going to use a little bit here just to get that momentum. We know we have 0-0 wings, so we should be faster these guys in a straight line. We're going to turn it off. They're going side by side once again. Let's see what happens here. He goes around the outside of him, and coming through into here, get a really good launch off this corner using the rest of the ERS. And you can see they're both running out of the ERS, so we definitely have more at this stage of the race. Going to save a bit more. They're going side by side this last corner, and let's see what we can do here. So we're going to get this one guy's out from out using the ERS. We have 7% more. Look how much speed we're going in. Coming through to get squeezed out onto here, and that was so close. We actually got a penalty by being forced off there. I think if that was a league race, that would have been a little bit illegal. And to be honest, sometimes the delta isn't correct. I would have loved to have seen a photo finish there, because I actually think if you looked at the replay cam, then I think I might have just been ahead there. But yeah, I really hope you enjoyed this race. Well, if I can speak properly, sorry. Let me know what you think about 0-0 Wings. And yeah, thank you so much for your support on the channel. Make sure you check out Bybit, link in the description, for more opportunities for F1 paddock passes, and CoachLimitless.com for one-to-one sessions with me. Thank you so much, and I will catch you very soon. Peace.